welcome to I'm Loving Life podcast with A&T Mechanical. I have Tim Trimble.
Hello.
Robert Reid.
Hello.
The man of the hour, the Godfather, the General.
You hang around long enough, you can get a lot of monikers, and the Godfather's one that I've heard before.
Let's go.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is awesome.
Not the first time.
So I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. Is basically
There you go.
Yeah.
No, it's so inspiring for like people that got in the trade and they can actually reference that you've helped them grow their business or helped them become the people they were. I mean, how does that feel? I mean, I'm not going to throw that out there. You're going to retire in a month, but reality is that's pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, I don't know how to answer that.
If I can get you teary-eyed today, then
you can do that.
But like we said, it's pretty inspiring that you've set so many paths for so many plumbers. Has it always been plumbers?
Well, I started in '79 with Lock Supply. That's where I got my start in this industry. And back in the day, when you had a branch, which ultimately I had a branch in Edmond, I was a manager for about 28 years there. But when you have a branch early on at the Lock Supply level, you would have plumbing, heat, air, and electric. So all three trades.
Right.
And certainly had that whole mix of customers for the first few years. Then as things grew, and I think there was an understanding of how to go to market, right, for the trades. The trades don't want to rub elbows with the electrician that they just were on the job with. So you tend to need to focus on one thing and not wear so many hats. So Lock Supply made that transition to individual branches, and I stuck with the plumbing branch. And not any particular reason, but it worked out well. And I actually have a couple of sons that are in the plumbing business.
Oh, really?
Yeah. One, Daniel and Rick, both of them work here, Oklahoma City, and Rick in Tulsa. I have another son in Arizona who's an IT guy at a hospital. But so yeah, the plumbing business is good. My grandson just went to work for my son Daniel. So we're carrying on the plumbing lineage.
So plumbing was the first thing you knew that you were heading towards.
Yeah, maybe we were more profitable on those three.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what made me make the choice, but that's where I ended up.
I bet everybody would say it's because how well you make connections with people.
Okay, connections.
You know what I'm saying? Because like for me, like
right, connections. No, just kidding.
But I honestly, like, as soon as I met you, you instantly embraced me. Like, hey, what's going on? Let's figure it out. We didn't sell that many Navions in the beginning, but I mean, that's how you met my dad.
Yeah.
And you really took us under a wing and kind of helped us too, because we weren't the best at putting Navions in. Now we are. We put them in like once a week.
Well,
once a week, once a day.
Fortunately for somebody who has a background in HVAC, you deal with some of the controls. I mean, this is tankless water heaters, and you could consider it a computer with water running through it, right?
Right.
That would scare a lot of people, right? But typically HVAC guys are a little more familiar with the low voltage stuff and the controls. So
it's just like a mini furnace for us.
Right.
So you can, and venting is even easier for us.
Did you kind of influence your sons to get into the plumbing trade, or how did that all pan out?
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I just think that they had a point in their lives where they were looking for gainful employment, and if I was going to have any influence in that, I could recommend them to go to so and so and so. The Lonnie's Plumbings, the Ken Miners, a lot of those guys are locals.
Right.
Plumbing, staples here in the Edmond area. Dennis Hubbard, they took a liking to my sons and gave them an opportunity. So the rest is history. They're contractors now. Yeah.
So you're going to go work for him later after you retire?
He's already said I could run the warehouse.
Hey, that's the life.
Yeah.
You know the parts.
Yeah, I know the parts. I could definitely be a parts runner. But there's another thing. I do have a wife. Okay. That's the love of my life. And
what's her name?
Susie. Susie Reid. Yeah, she comes before all that. So we've she told me the other day, yeah, you might edit this out, I don't know. She told me the other day, I had a dream that the first day off or retirement, that we just hugged and rolled on the floor. So
Hey, that's a good. I see no editing on that.
That's a good one.
That's PG-13.
We've been
Let's
married
go.
30 years, and we still like rolling on the floor. So
Hey, let's do it.
let's do it, right? Yeah.
But you just went to Key West on vacation to
Yeah.
fill you up.
Her and I went
there's
down there
like a
and-
mini vacay.
Yeah, it was cold. It was during that last cold front
Right.
here.
Man, talk about timing.
Yeah, it was good timing. Our flight got diverted from where it was supposed to land. First leg of the trip was going to be Chicago, but that got shut down. So we went to Houston, stayed for Key West, first time there for a few days.
Right.
Beautiful weather, and came back. And then coming back out of Houston, it got delayed to Oklahoma City. We were halfway home, like over the Red River, right, where you could breathe clean air.
Right.
And the guy says we got to turn around and go back to Texas. So it was a mess here, but not down there. It's nice.
So did you just get to stay there? Did they give you a hotel, that kind of stuff?
You know what? Luckily there's a hotel that is attached to that
Right.
Houston airport, so we didn't have to catch an Uber or anything. So it was good. It was good to.
Man.
So what was that journey with being at Locke for so long? And then, of course, now you're retiring from Navien. So were there any kind of speed bumps in there or different detours that you took before you got there?
No, and just to clarify, so yeah, 28 years at Locke, a long journey, and where that led to was not Navien, or it's pronounced a few different ways, I guess.
Yeah.
Navigating energy is, to clear that up, it's a derivative of navigating energies.
Know what you're talking about, Tim.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
all
No,
good.
just
I like
kidding.
it.
I appreciate that.
I like the European flair you put on.
Yeah. There you go.
But no, I actually went to work for NSC, not Navien, but NSC. So
Okay.
NSC is those three initials are the founders of a marketing company, NSC Marketing. Bob Nutty, Curtis Corley, and Ted Schaefer, NSC. They've all since left, and they've passed it on to others. I was able to partake in some of that ownership. And I'll pass my ownership on here in another month and 25 days and a few seconds, right?
He has a clock that counts down
It
on his
does.
phone.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Dedicated clock, huh?
A dedicated clock. It's a constant reminder of the next chapter of my life.
Rolling on the floor.
So NSC is a group of individuals. There's a dozen of us. Oklahoma City got a Tulsa office, and one gentleman that works out of Tulsa to cover Arkansas. And we got some great product lines. You know, we mentioned Navien, and a lot of people identify me with Navien, but this is one of the lines we carry. Navien, Uponor, Grunfoss, Sioux Chief, Woodford, just a lot of good products. Delta.
Yeah.
So we're blessed.
I think that the reason why is because that's like the biggest it's known in all in Oklahoma City, and that's why I think they just put it on your shoulder because that's you know it so well in and out, and didn't get our guys involved to get tested and all that
Like
stuff. That's
anything,
awesome.
though, if you repeat something enough, the rote learning, you repeat something enough, you tend to learn it. So
Right.
I've been blessed to be put in a place where I can teach, right? And you guys have come to our classes. They're at our NSC location. And, I give a 3-hour class. It's funny because I've got 180 slides or something. I'm lucky to get through 10 or 12, and I just diarrhea them out,
Yeah, but you're so informable of how that product's working, that kind of stuff. Hands down, I think you're probably one of the best up there for sure.
Wow.
So I sat through your class too that first
Yeah.
time, and I wasn't bored, and I didn't know anything
Good,
about it.
good,
So, like, hats off to you.
Yeah, I usually issue a few toothpicks to keep people's eyes open.
Just like
Prompt their
open up.
eyelids.
I like it.
Yeah.
So you do anything? So you don't know the next chapter. You might be a warehouse owner, but do you have?
Parts are
Parts are-
In
Do you think you'll go like overseas, go on a big vacation? Do you have big plans for that?
Yeah, I served prior to getting into this industry. I served 4 years in the U.S. Army, and the majority of those years were in Germany. As a matter of fact, my son Daniel was born in Frankfurt, Germany.
Wow.
But that's a place like I'd like to go back. It's been a long time ago.
Right.
I went into the military in 1975, so that's been a long time ago.
What'd you do in there?
U.S. Army infantry. So
Oh,
I was
wow.
a four-deuce mortar chief, fire direction center chief. We had these
Well,
Gun-
thank you for your
gun
service,
transport.
man. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I didn't know that.
Artillery guy. Okay. All right.
High angle hell, as they call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Like that.
look, I give it up to those who actually had to serve in a conflict. I didn't have a conflict.
Right.
The biggest threat then was the Cold War, and I did get to spend some time on the border between a Warsaw country at the time was with Czechoslovakia and West Germany. So there was East Germany and West Germany before the Berlin Wall fell, and that's when I was there. So.
So you
Some high stakes stuff, but it never got to World War III, and thank God we haven't got there yet. Right?
oh, no joke. There's no telling, right?
Yeah, no telling.
So you did that when you're how old were you?
Just out of high school.
Right out of
You
high
know,
school.
Honestly, just kind of was a wayward kid. Dad died when I was 6. Probably put my mom through some hell that she definitely didn't deserve, and hopefully made up for that later on in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so went into the military. Actually went to military academy too. You know, your dad and I have told stories about our high school days because we're basically the same age.
Yeah.
And had a point in time where Oklahoma City Public Schools said, we don't want this guy here anymore. So luckily, I had an opportunity to go to Whitworth Military Academy in Lexington, Missouri, and it's a serious academy from about I guess it's freshman in high school all the way up to second lieutenant or junior college level. Just stayed there for a year to get my act together and get back into Oklahoma City Public Schools in good graces.
Yeah.
And then kind of put away the juvenile delinquent hat and ran a little track for Coach Irwin back in the day. And there was a Coach Piccolo that did basketball. I mean, some of those are some old names the guys remember. But yeah, and then just decided that the military, the esprit de corps, the discipline and stuff that I'd learned in military academy could serve me in life. So
Oh,
I
yeah.
go to the military, spent 4 years with the infantry, and then got out. Luckily met a guy in church who said lock supplies, looking for somebody. Went to work.
That's how where it started.
Yeah,
At church.
1979. Yeah, I was in a church service with a guy, Larry. Last name can't think of it, brother. But any case, yeah, he turned me on to a job, and like I said, 28 years later.
So did you spend a lot of time with Mike?
Mike Musney?
Musney?
Oh yeah, he was my assistant manager. We worked together. Coy, who you had
Yeah.
on this podcast, he worked with me.
So I didn't. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. So Mike Musney actually is what kept my dad in business. So they have a really strong relationship because, like, whenever all the banks actually quit and were people were filing for bankruptcy, my dad had all this. IRS had all their money, like had all the big units. They froze them, so he couldn't go get them back or whatever. So the IRS had it. So when my dad started doing more residential, Mike would wait for him to get paid, and he would hold that. He really helped.
Don't say hold ticket.
I didn't say hold ticket. He really helped my dad prepare for the season that was coming for him.
Yeah.
So it was a big part.
Mike was a great asset to Lock Supply.
Oh,
a
he's
great
huge.
asset to the branch when he was there with me, and you know I fought like hell to keep him.
Right.
Because you're only as good as the people around you, right?
Right. Were you off a pin with him?
No, I was always
Up here?
I started in Edmond. Sorry, pardon me. I started in North May.
Okay.
And then a couple of years later went up here to Edmond, and that's where we were at. So he left and went to the pin store.
Yeah.
Opened that up.
That's how I met
Main
him.
and Pin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy. Just retired. Went to his retirement party.
I didn't know he retired.
December 31st was his last day. He's building a house out towards Shawnee. So him and his wife are, putting it all together. I don't know how much of the work he's doing, but I was thinking about him today. I got to give him a call.
Yeah, I need to give him a call because that's really awesome. Because his son now, Zach, works off the one
runs.
up for Reno.
See, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. I got boys that are doing contractor. He's got a boy in the
Because I
supply
think
house.
didn't his boy play baseball for a while?
I'm not sure.
But anyway, then he started coming to that, and he's doing really, really good with that store. So,
Yeah.
I mean, Locke has really set a path for some really OGs, like some really solid people. So you coming from there and then actually helping like these young guys come up, man. I mean,
It's
how
all-
many people do you think you've actually like helped? You even
We all
know?
have a family tree of,
Right.
actual, blood relatives, and then business branches of that tree, right? And,
Right.
if you stick around in the industry as long as I have, almost 45 years, you got a few branches.
What do you think about like the kids coming from high school or even like that 20-year? What do you think about that core group of guys? What is that, Gen
Gen
Z,
what,
Gen
what,
Z,
what,
maybe?
yeah, what alphabetical numerator are we at?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have been able to surround myself with some people for the last 17 years at NSC that are part of the same group that I was from,
Right.
give or take. I mean,
Right,
give or
right.
take a few years. And they are the throwback kind of treat people like you want to be treated.
Right.
There's no real runestone or Da Vinci Code when it comes to service, right? It's
Right.
basically just treat people like you want to be treated, right?
And just show up.
Yeah, show up. 80% of the job is just
Show
showing
up.
right? But I think it's a challenge for young people today. I mean, we always talk as bosses or business owners about the challenges that we have with these younger guys coming
Right.
through, but we've got to recognize that they've got a lot of challenges themselves, just the way society is and the instant gratification that is somehow a rite of passage, that you don't have to go from point A to B to C. You can go from point A to Z.
Yeah.
You
can get on a date instantly by just
Yeah,
swiping
yeah.
right, and you're like, "What?
So-
That makes sense."
So don't we have some responsibility as mentors to walk in their moccasins, so to speak, a little
Right.
bit, and then find ways to meet them halfway? I think so. I will say that there was a different work ethic. Not going to say it's better, but the Mike Moosneys of the world, the David Terrys, the Coy Cookses, the David Thomases, Rudy Cardenas. I'm going to name some guys that
Yeah.
are out there maybe listening. Right?
I hope
Don't
so.
forget about me. Right?
Yeah, right.
It's kind of like Academy Awards. Right? In any case, those guys, they were either from smaller towns or they weren't from broken families or whatever. It was just there was more of a work ethic, And even before that, remember our dads and stuff, our grandfathers worked for the Rolex watch. They were working for a
That-
watch.
yeah.
Might have not even been a Rolex, right?
It's just a watch.
Yeah, it's just the old Timex kept on ticking, right?
Yeah.
And that's what they expected those employees to do, is just keep on ticking, right?
Right.
And so there's not a lot of that left,
No.
but it doesn't mean that we lost hope. We just have to find that wellspring of enthusiasm and mentor that and bring it
Right.
out, because everybody's the same, really.
Yeah.
No matter where
People
you
want to just be treated right,
Exactly.
and that's the hard part. Because for us we're not a huge company, but like it's always, younger ones are always thinking something's greener on the other side, and they've never experienced anything else.
Yeah.
They'll go, well, let me just try that and come back. Well, it's kind of hard for a business owner to be like, yeah, you can come back, because you're setting a pace, like you have a goal for them, but if they don't embrace in the culture you have, they're not going to stay. And it's hard for a owner to be
Oh,
like,
it is. But you're going to have that
You have-
story still, though, about the guy who did come back, and
Yeah.
that he, it's the prodigal son, right? And maybe you don't feel like slaughtering the fatted calf when he comes back, but you probably at least open the door and hear him out, because
Let's
he
have a
may become the
conversation.
guy that never wants to leave after that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just, go ahead.
Well, sorry, you finished that thought because I was.
So
gonna take
it's
it
just
different.
so interesting, like, because I've been in the business for 27 years, and my dad had a guy that worked for us for over 30 years, and he showed up on every time. Showed up early.
Yeah.
He worked as late as he had to, just to provide for his family, and you didn't have to question if they were going to show up. And now, I think on our team, we have a really solid team that they're going to be there and take care of our company. But there's always the younger ones that are, oh, I'm sick today or something like that. And it's really awesome. I think we're coming around to like hiring slower and getting those really core group of people that are helping the business. But it's hard. It's hard because there's not that many people for us to choose from at this point. Our pool back in the day when my dad was in business, you could throw a rock and hit somebody to do business with us. Now, like you better have a slingshot or something else to find someone to come work at these kind of jobs.
Well, we haven't done a whole lot of good for ourselves in the way that some of these trades are looked at.
Right.
The blue collar trades are maybe considered dirty or demeaning or beneath a particular station in life.
Right.
But quite frankly, new construction, you're not playing in other people's waste, right?
Right.
You're basically doing a job. You're part of the structural integrity. But yeah, it's part of the sanitation and delivering of domestic water. But it's
a big part
at the end
of
of the
our
day, you're to get cleaned up and you're done, right?
Yeah.
So it's not the drudgery that is portrayed somehow.
Right.
We've got to do a better job about getting that message out. And then I think as a society, we pushed for that higher learning. Certainly, I'm all for higher learning. I want to learn more every day. But in terms of institutional higher learning, we've gone into debt. The student loan debt is something that's a political football and as well as a societal burden. And if we'd have pushed for those same people to maybe look at a trade school and we'd have put the money into that, they definitely would have been paying their debt back and probably prospering in ways that a lot of college educated people don't have an opportunity to. Right?
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. One thing I have, so whenever we have our marketing materials, right, is to also have an element of, recruiting, right, or kind of going after those younger generations. Because I remember, and I told Coy this story when we had him on, but I think I was like 23. I was working in a warehouse, and I looked at a stat, and it was saying that the jobs that are most needed were nurses and plumbers, right?
Oh, yeah.
I said, well, I'm not going to go to school and be a nurse. I'll go be a plumber. Yeah. Well, I remember, and it could be like the desire wasn't there or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe at the point there wasn't a pressure. But I remember going online and looking for resources, right? To be like, okay, how do you get into this? How do you do that? Well, now over here, I figured out, you literally just walk up to a shop, and get interviewed. But I feel like that was something that was a little bit of a barrier for me to even get into that space because I didn't feel like there was enough that I could find. I could find everything else that I wanted to.
What you're saying is it was a barrier to find that there was no barrier.
Yeah.
Right.
All you had to do, there's no barrier to entry.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we don't have, and I do know that you guys on the hiring level, there's a lot of bonuses and things like that you guys are trying to
pull people in.
And pull people in. Yeah. So, there's a lot of need for plumbing contractors, and of course HVAC and electrical as well. Those are the trades.
And it's not always going to have to be like you're the last resort. Like it could be for a first resort, because I always said I wasn't going to do this, and then I fell in love with it. I didn't have to go do a whole bunch of jobs to say, hey, I don't know what to do. No, I was just like, my dad said, you can come work with me, but I had to ask for that. Mm-hmm. I actually asked permission from my mom to come work for here. He's like, you better ask your mom. She said, yeah, you can go do it, because I was 16. I had no money. And he was like, yeah, you can come. And he put me through it. But reality is it grew me so much. And I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it until I was like having a conversation with a customer and making that connection and be like, hey, thank you for letting me be in your house, because that was awesome. And they're happy. I'm happy. Everybody won. And that's how like the business kept growing. So it was really like, it's not like you said, there's an own that says like, blue collar, but really it's a really good trade for anything, electric, plumbing, anybody.
Yeah. And I want to give it up to, and it's AT Mechanical, which is, I didn't realize, and I correct me if I'm wrong, but is that Alvarez team?
Yeah.
I'm loving that. Okay, and the team is a family team.
Yeah.
And some that you've adopted, right?
Oh, we have definitely adopted some.
Yeah, but and that's not easy. That's not easy to do, to run a business with family. I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
Well, me and my dad butted heads. We were on the same, like, we have the same personality. We bumped heads for years. Probably since I was 16 to 18, I was probably leaving, or 16 to 20, I was like, I'm out. I'm not doing this again. Because we had the same personality. And until my sister came aboard, she would be that medium person. So I would talk to her, she would talk to dad, vice versa. And everything started working really smooth because she's that glue that put us together. So it's really nice.
One quote I saw, it was a video I watched where Jeff Bezos was getting interviewed, right? Not the most popular guy, but someone that's definitely been to like the next levels. Well, I was listening to him and he was talking about whenever you get, to those higher levels and you're having to bring people together, what he decided to do was, if they bring an idea, they bring an idea to him, and he didn't really kind of care for it. But there was enough of those people that were like, hey, this is good. This guy's been with him for 20 years. And what he learned to do was, instead of just shutting it down, he would say, I disagree with this, but I fully commit to making this happen. So no sabotaging, no sniping. Like, I told you so, this was a terrible idea. But it's like, I don't agree with you, but I'm going to support this because we're all coming together and making it happen.
Yeah.
That's something that kind of changed in my mind. I was like, oh, yeah, well, we can disagree to it, but I'm not going to be over here holding it back to where I make sure it not happen just because it wasn't my idea. You know what I mean?
Well, think about it. I mean, here's somebody, whether you're Jeff Bezos or Joseph or whomever, right? That wasn't two ends of the spectrum. You're somewhere in the middle, right? In any case, you're thinking about this person who comes to you with that idea, and they have put effort, gray matter effort into what they believe is going to grow this business that you own, and you're going to shut that down, that enthusiasm that they want to grow the business with you. I mean, maybe it doesn't make sense, but it makes worse sense to not at least entertain their enthusiasm, right? For that. So, you got to find a way to cultivate that any way you can.
I was telling Rick earlier, sorry to interrupt you.
You're good.
I was telling Rick earlier, I said, I view it as I only have one good idea out of 50 things that I do.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But I've kind of learned to where it's like, no, you're taking the shots, you're throwing it out there because at some point you're going to find that little gold nugget that just changed everything, But it's being okay with going through those and burning through the bad ideas to get to your good one, And that's something I think that Joseph, Jessica, and Jesse have really done well, at least on my end. They allow me to kind of like fail.
Yeah.
What is it?
I don't know who it was. It may have been Edison. Somebody said, if you're not failing, you're not trying. So,
Right.
And
Some people say if you're not cheating, you're not trying, but that's a whole different
story.
That's a different one.
Yeah. There you go.
So at the end of the day, I have to say I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're a busy person, and I can't thank you enough for coming. I think you're amazing. Hopefully we have another interview after you retire and you be able to come back and say how wonderful retirement is.
Yeah.
But you always have a place here. I do appreciate you, and thank you for loving life, and thanks for coming.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.